Yay.
Oh, okay, great.
I won't even give you a hat today.
All right. So today, our speaker is Mr. David Roberts.
That's why we're here.
That's why we have the return guests today for that. How many people in the room today? All right, now if you're going to leave, you have to leave and stop distracting our organization.
We're talking to y'all.
Stay or go.
Damn. Well, I was the main one.
That'll go over well on the video.
Yeah, that's good. Take control.
So how many people in this room consider themselves to be entrepreneurs? Great. Do you know that the statistics that only 1% of entrepreneurs turn out to be successful? That's pretty disheartening, isn't it? I got that from David's intro, but I believe that. So, for most of you, what do you think is the key to success in an entrepreneur business?
Freedom.
Excuse me?
Freedom.
Freedom?
Knowledge.
That's a key to success? Knowledge? Okay.
Pressing on.
Pressing on?
Okay.
Perseverance.
Thank you.
Typically, I hear, in some of the other meetings we've talked about this, I hear the one is those who fail to plan to fail, so the lack of a plan. But what I really believe, and what you're going to hear from David today, is I think the number one opportunity for success is vision. Because if you, let's say you're in a business today, and you're plodding on, and you've got a plan, and all the rest of that stuff, but your heart's not really in it. It's just a way to make money. It seemed like a good idea at the time. You're doomed for failure. I mean, you may succeed in spite of that. But what would really make true success, not just financial success, but happiness for you, your family, people all around you, is to do something for the rest of your life that your heart's really in. Something you really want to do, something that has purpose. How do you figure that out? David's going to talk to us a little bit about today. And you can design your own future. And with that, I'd like to introduce our founder, David Roberts.
Thank you, guys. And Randy, that was a great introduction. Actually, if I didn't know better, I would say Randy was on vacation with me in the Mediterranean.
What a love.
And he was there when I kind of came up with the aha that I experienced, even though I was on vacation. And I was experiencing what I would view as an ideal average day throughout my time out in the Caribbean. I mean in the Mediterranean, wrong ocean. I was reading every day. I was watching, consuming some YouTube videos. I was writing in my journal every day. I was exercising every day. I stayed in a healthy eating mode on a cruise every day. And by healthy, I don't mean mass quantities.
Right.
I mean eating what I had decided before I got on the cruise. My wife and I had decided that we were going to eat on the cruise. So I'm going to give you a sheet of paper after the next slide, which is a video. And I know I've got some old guys here and gals, and I know you've heard it all. Okay, and I many times feel like I've heard things before. But I'm going to ask you to do something with me today that maybe I've never asked you to do. I want you to, in fact, I know I haven't asked you to do this specifically because part of what I learned is I want you to grip your right hand like this. Anybody here for the memory thing? Okay, I want you to take your right hand like this. I don't want you to make any noise when it happens, but I want you to listen to this video. And every time in this video you hear something that you say, I want to remember that. That resonates with me. That resonates with what I'm going to call your core. Okay? Your core. And I'll explain to you the difference between your core and your shell as we go through this, because we all have both. Okay? And part of the vision challenge and part of the thing that I've worked with CEOs, if they pay $20,000 for what we're giving away for free in the Vision Challenge, is that you reconnect with your core and you realize, again, where you're going. Part of why I want to show you this video is because if you've ever asked, should I get animated, concerned, motivated to really, really, really do what Dave's going to talk about today here, about really getting connected with your vision, hopefully you will see throughout the course of this, it's 11-minute video. I'm giving up 11 minutes of my presentation for this video because I think it's that important for you to have. I will give you some other things after the video to do, and we won't get finished. But I really, if anything I achieved today, is I want you to go, yeah, that's a reason. Yeah, that's a reason. Don't say yeah, because then you'll distract the other people. Don't write. Don't talk. Don't deal with your food. Watch this video. You can do all that while I'm talking and I'll be fine. Okay? But watch this video. And I didn't make the video. But one of the things we do in the Business Growth Network, one of the reasons why you want to be part of the Business Growth Network Insiders is because I don't know that I've ever had an original thought. Okay? But we curate. You understand curation? We curate information. I see things, members see things that are valuable, and we share. And that's why the power is in the network. That's why we do what we do. So I want you to watch this video that's coming up, and hopefully it'll play here. Here we go. It starts off quiet. So. Hear that?
As humans, we have something that no animal has, and what it's called is imagination. And what imagination allows you to do, it allows you to see it before it actually happened. What I mean by that is I need you to go 10 years into the future, 20 years into the future, and I need you to see yourself actually becoming the person you want to be. You got to live in the forward. Block the whole world out. Put some music on, some classical music, right? The piano if you need to. I don't know what you need to listen to, but I want you to take 30 minutes. Go in the closet. Go in the basement. Go to the library. Go into a room alone. And I want you to take 30 minutes. And I want you to imagine. I want you to take 30 minutes and I want you to live in the forward. See, the problem is I'm talking to some of you guys. The problem that you're having is you're living in the future and you're living in the present. And you keep talking about the mistakes. You keep talking about the past. You keep talking about your trials. You keep talking about your situation. And I want you to know that everybody that's ever been great, everybody has had an obstacle to overcome. They've had a barrier that they had to climb. There is no individual who's ever reached success and he didn't have to go through an obstacle or a barrier to get there. I need you to live in the future. I need you to go in your future every single day. I need you to go in your future. I need you to see what you're going to be. Listen to me. What you are to be, you are now becoming. And so you got to use your imagination. And your imagination has to take you beyond the pain. Your imagination has to take you beyond the trouble. Your imagination has to take you to the next level. We have to see ourselves there long before it happens. The second tool is we got to embrace faith. I have to have faith to believe that the thing that I see 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that one day that thing is going to be successful. When I was homeless at 16, I could have quit. When I was homeless, I could have given up. There are many days that I thought about committing suicide. But I said to myself, just keep imagining, keep thinking, keep seeing what you're not now, but what you're going to be. Sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes you're going to look all around you and nowhere do you see success. Nowhere do you see anything that remotely looks like success. But you got to embrace, number two, you got to embrace the faith. You got to believe that although it's not happening right now, if you keep pressing, if you keep pushing, guess what? One day is going to be your day. That's right. I need you to say that with me. One day is going to be your day. Embrace the faith. You got to be able to see it and believe it that when there's no evidence around you, when there's no evidence around you, when you got pain in your life, when you're tired, you feel like giving up, and you feel like quitting. When you look around you, you don't see anything that looks anything like success. You got to embrace the faith and believe that one day gonna be my day. But one day can't be your day if you give up. If you quit, no day will ever be your day. I want you to fail forward. That's right, I said it, fail forward. I want you to get to a place in your life that every mistake you make, every setback you get, right, every obstacle that you don't overcome, every barrier you can't climb. I don't want you to give up, but I want you to fail forward. You gotta learn from your mistakes. That every mistake you make, you fail a class, get back up and try again. You lose a job, get back up and try again. You put all your money in investment, get back and try again. If you start a business and it don't work, don't stop, don't quit. Fail forward. Learn from each and every one of your mistakes. Don't quit, don't give up. Listen to me, don't quit, don't give up. If it gets hard, you tired, not around yourself. You double tired if you have to, but you hold on. But I want you to know you will never reach your goal. You will never reach your dreams if you don't use your imagination. So when you fail that class, don't drop it. When you fail that class, don't just stop going. You go into the end of that class. You go into the end of that class, and you go into the end of that class, and you go into the end of that class. Because I want you to know something. When you start that class over the next semester, you won't be starting from scratch. You won't be starting from the bottom because you were all the way up here when you quit. And now all you got to do is go a little further and a little further. So keep reaching, keep climbing. It started with a vision.
Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. Fear is a choice.
Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. I want your dream to be so clear that when you wake up in the morning, all you gotta do is step in your dream. And the first step for me was seeing something I was not before I was. You can do it. Where you are is temporary. You will not be there for the rest of your life. I don't care what happens in your life. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care where you are. Every single day you wake up, if you're going to have energy, if you're going to have passion, if you're going to have drive, every day you wake up, you got to start with that vision. This is a mentality, like, you got to live this, you got to eat this. Every single thing you do is not a cute thing. It is a way of life. It's got to possess everything you do. It's got to own. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I can accomplish. I want to see what I can do, what I can be, what I can have. I want to see. I don't want to see what I think I can do. I don't want to see what I think is possible. I want to see what my life would look like if I didn't count the cost, and if I was willing to go further than anybody else was willing to do.
One problem, the violin. Because to do what you do, you've got to be a world-class violinist. Because if you don't, when you're moving around and being thrown around and still trying to play, you end up doing what you did, and that's missing loads of notes. and there were times when it sounded to me like a bunch of rats being strangled. Seriously, that bad. But you're not good enough, I don't think, to get away with flying through the air and trying to play the violin at the same time.
I don't think what you're doing right now is enough to fill a theater in Vegas.
That much movement made you not as great as you were. Made you not as great as you were.
Anytime there's a change to be made, you have to realize that there's somewhere else you want to be. And I wanted to basically be happy.
You can't do anything without faith. It's impossible to accomplish anything without faith. So I need you to believe there is still time. As long as there's breath in your nostrils, as long as you can wake up in the morning.
The first step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it.
So I need you to believe.
Because if you're willing to go through all the battling you got to go through to get to where you want to get, who's got the right to stop you? I mean, maybe some of you guys got something you never finished, something you really want to do, something you never said to someone, something. And you're told no, even after you pay your dues. Who's got the right to tell you that? Who? Nobody. It's your right to listen to your gut. It ain't nobody's right to say no. After you earn the right to be where you want to be and do what you want to do.
You gotta do what you was called to do. You gotta do what you were born to do. You gotta do what works for you, because if you do what works for you, you're gonna blow up. It's in your DNA. It's who you are.
And then you get knocked down, you get back up, you get back up, you get back up, and you continue to throw shit against the wall.
Have a vision, but listen to me. You are where you are because of who you are. And if you're going to get somewhere else, you're going to have to change something.
All right.
Okay, so just answer one question. What did the plane crash have to do with all this?
I'm going to explain that.
All right, good. Thank you.
But I want to know, just from you guys, you watched it. Did everybody, it seemed like you guys were watching it. One thing, give me one thing that you heard there that you went, okay, it doesn't have, I know I saw some of you pumping it, pretty, but one thing.
Fail forward.
Fail forward.
Faith in what you believe.
Change. You gotta change.
Change.
Without faith, nothing's impossible.
Okay.
One day you run out of days.
Go.
Embrace the suck.
Ricky Jean?
First, you have to believe in yourself.
Yep. Believe in yourself, precisely. Don?
Every time you're knocked down, you need to get up.
Good one. One thing you said. Anybody else? David?
Believe in yourself and persist. Never stop.
Jenna?
I already said, embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Pseudo-millennial here. Embrace the suck. I say pseudo. So let's do some. Let me. Sorry, I got it. Okay. So why did I show you that video? There's plenty of videos out there that will talk to you about you gotta focus. You gotta do something. You gotta have that dream. You gotta have that vision. And so I'm gonna pass this out, and I want you to do this on and this is one page. And I want you to write some things down And then after we're done here, I want you to also take this, especially those of you, if you haven't done the Vision Challenge, can you share the rest of these around? And then, if you haven't done the Vision Challenge, or you have done the Vision Challenge, or you started, one of the things we found in the Vision Challenge is when you got to day 2 and 3, which is discovering and clarifying your unique vision, okay? That is a very, very difficult thing, but it is the most important thing. I am passionate. I call myself now my vision warrior, a vision warrior. And the reason I am so passionate and so focused on that is because that is the thing that I believe, without exception, that any failures that occur, that 99% of the businesses and the entrepreneurs and the people that fail at what they started out to do, the gap, the thing they're missing, is that one thing, that focus on that vision. Ricky Jean?
I'm just so prepared. I don't have a pen.
Okay, here you go. So, yeah, be sure and have a pen if you're watching this online. Have a pen when you're going through this. And I actually we'll be sharing this in the Insiders. I'll be sharing this also on the Vision Challenge Engagement Group. And but I really, really, really want you to understand, because I think if you get what I'm going to talk to you, and there's only 6 slides here, so this isn't that tough. You won't be able to deal with all 6 slides today, but make some notes about what you want to do when you leave here. My whole goal here is for you to find life. Anybody get? I just gave you what L is. What do you think I is? Anybody? Somebody help me. What is I? Anybody got a guess?
Insight.
Insight. Close. Any other? What I might stand for?
Interest. The why.
I actually used the term, and two types, but anyway, it's identity. We all have a core identity. When you did this, when you were watching that video, whether you realize it or not, and you don't do this consciously, this is actually occurring in your subconscious. And but when you hear something that resonates with your core, with your heart, with your core, you kind of go, yeah, okay, and you hopefully reinforce that. So the key is, if you are not connected, if you don't know what your core identity is, then your ability to move forward in your vision, to do what they were talking about in that video, not letting fear overcome you, not letting people's criticism overcome you, he said, it all starts with vision. Every day, what I want you to do with whatever you come up with here in the Vision Challenge, number one, I want you to take the Vision Challenge, and I'll talk about that at the end, but what I really, really want you to do is get in your mind what hopefully you'll create with these 6 slides, okay? And that is your life. Life is 2 things. The Vision Challenge is really 2 things. When we talk about your unique reason and your value, it's really the things that your values and your beliefs really make up your core identity. Okay, what you believe. We all have our own core beliefs and values, whether we talk about them or not. And so in the Vision Challenge, in day 1, your why, your reason, and then days 4 and 5, we're really focused on your values, your value, the value as perceived by people that you interact with. We're trying to get you to be introspective, but see yourself through other people's eyes, and specifically your ideal client, the person you're going to try and work with, okay? But those days 2 and 3, your unique vision, that's the part, that is E, that's experiences. It's not stuff. And the thing I can't tell you enough is, and everybody I see it, and where you're going to die, is it's not stuff. I will, if we have time, I hope we have time at the end, I'm going to share with you my plane crash story. Remember I shared with you waking up, I got 7 minutes. So it's going to go fast. Okay, so strap in. I actually may go a little bit over because we're gonna stop it a little bit before noon, and I'll do a couple. We don't have a lot of housekeeping at the end, just so that people can prepare too. So because I want to make sure you get this, and I don't want to, and I think it's important. So this is what we're trying to accomplish, the Vision Challenge. And then when you combine your experiences with your identity, you get your life. Okay. Today, what is life? Is it something in its entirety? Yes. But really, when do we live our lives?
Every day.
Every day. Okay, so next slide, John Maxwell says what? You will never change your life until you change what you do daily. The secret of success is found in your daily routine. Now that sounds mundane. And that sounds like Doug Grady, who talked to us about 40 Days of Focus. You can take it anywhere. That's truth. But it's only truth in that what you change and what you focus on, hopefully your core is going to be what you become over time. So if you are not where you want to be, if you're not living every day, if your experience isn't that ideal day. We're going to talk about how do I define my ideal day. At the beginning of that video, Mastu said, go in a closet for 30 minutes. I say it's going to take you longer than that. It took me about 4 hours on vacation. And I was experiencing something quite different than my plane crash days, but I was experiencing some of what I had envisioned back then as my ideal day. Okay? So, how do you do that? Here's what I want you to do when you don't need to do it now, just listen to me, let's talk about this. There's prompts there, you can take this with you, and whatever it is. First of all, walk through your entire day. Start with when you wake up in the morning. If you want to know if anything were possible, what kind of future could I imagine? What I really want you to imagine is that ideal average day. The day that you could get up in and live every day. Let's say you had to live it every day. If in fact you deviated, God would push a button and you'd blow up. Okay, so you have to be, right?
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. You want to, but this is not the Groundhog Day that maybe you're working. This is the Groundhog Day you're working towards. This is your average, ideal day. You know, some people say, well, I want to go drink every day and binge and live out, hang out with hookers or whatever. You can do that, but it'll kill you. And that day won't last very long. So this is something you could live for the rest of your life, right? So that's what I want you to, that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to start at the beginning. When you wake up in the morning, how do you wake up in the morning? What do you smell in the morning? Are you on a ship, on a cruise ship, and you look out and there's a new port? Are you in Hawaii? Are you on a mountaintop? Are you looking out over a cityscape? Are you hearing your kids singing in the background? Or maybe your kids are gone and you're hearing the birds or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's not for me to define. And nobody can define it for you. But think about that. If anything were possible and there were no consequences or limitations, what would I wake up? What would I be thinking about? Describe your emotions. How would I feel when I woke up? Would you feel anxious? Would anybody have that as their ideal average day? No. How many of you in the last week have woke up anxious? I'm raising my hand. I woke up anxious. Not because I wanted to, but something, okay? So, describe all of your emotions. Are you waking up with anticipation? How does the emotions go through the day? Moment by moment. Design. Let me give it to you this way. If you were to design this day, and I told you that if you wrote it down, you could live that day for the rest of your life. And if you didn't write it down, you would never have it. What would you write down? What feelings would you leave out? Okay? What senses would you ignore? What people would you cut out of that experience? Because it says, who are you with? You're doing something when you wake up. You're doing something as you progress through the day. What is that? We asked a question on the Vision Challenge and Great Engagement group, which, by the way, if you're part of that group, you're going to get a question every day. Because I decided that daily, we need to contemplate our vision. And so Jenna's worked with the text, and we're going to have, there's a prompt, there's a question. And all of it is in the context, ultimately, of helping you to get in touch with or reconnect with your vision on a daily basis. Maybe asking questions in a different way. So my point is, when you wake up, what are you thinking about? Who are you spending the time with? What are you, whatever, what are you worried about? What are you doing? What do you do? We asked a question earlier, how much would you work in a week? One of the questions at the beginning of the week, right? How many hours of work? And one of the questions is, what is work? In your ideal average day, if you're living your, would you really have, you know, we tend to
it's not work.
We tend to look, exactly, we tend to look at work as something that we do because we have to. Ricky, I believe, Ricky Jean Wright, our singer-songwriter, if his work isn't work, I've seen him perform. His work is not work, it's his heart, it's his passion. It's love, it's what he does. But he's, hopefully, if he monetizes it or people are willing to pay him for it, then you can live off of that too. But the thing is, that's not work. So part of what you have to look in that vision is it really what you want? You know, who are you with? What are you doing? How do you feel? Answer all of these questions. Not now, but when you go through it. Think about it specifically. And again, remember, if you don't write it down, don't think about it and then move on. Because that's where the wheels come off here. Think about it, write it down, meditate on it over time, but write it down. And if you write it down, there's a good chance that will become part of, because you'll never have it seen until you actually believe it and hold on to it in the unseen. If you don't have your vision, this building didn't get built without a plan, right? The one we're standing in.
Detailed one.
A detail. But the thing is, so you need to understand that vision isn't just, oh, I'd like to impact people. I started that way. My plane crashed. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. You know, so what do you see, smell, and touch? What are you wearing? These aren't without limit. Actually, in the Vision Challenge in days 2 and 3, we go into a lot of different questions about things. My emphasis here, though, and one of the things I've learned through that, it's really not the stuff. You have the stuff because you want the experience. When I moved into a 7,500 square foot home and started driving nice cars, guess what the experience I wanted? I wanted respect. I wanted people to envy or whatever. I wanted to have status. I wanted, you know, and I'm not bashing any of that. I'm just saying you got to be somewhat self-aware and self-observant and realize that what you're really after, everything we buy is because we want the experience. Whether it's watching the beer commercial and wanting to drink that specific beer, they play with our heads. They buy that beer because you want to have the girls that are hanging out in the commercial hanging around you. Now be honest, okay? I mean, even if you're not doing that, you're playing those beer commercials in your head. You're playing things in your head right now that aren't your vision. They're about your past failures. They're about the complexities around you. They're about all these things, and you don't have, and I'm not preaching to you because I'm talking to me because I'm the same way today. I'm on a journey. This is not an event. This is a journey. And I'm on the journey to get more and more clarity, get more and more understanding of my unique vision. So when you wake up on that ideal day, what are you aspiring to? Because if you're not doing things for self-enrichment or self-development during that ideal day, guess what? You're going to become stagnant. You're going to become not what you want to be. That ideal day has a downward path. You with me? So part of, people say, you're retired. You've been retired for 13 years. Why are you standing up in front of a group of entrepreneurs and and whatever. The reason being is because it helps, it enriches me. It's part of my vision. It's part of what I've become to discover over time that I really wanted to do. It's not an event. I haven't arrived. I'll never arrive. Okay? So that's the thing. Think about those from your own perspective. What are you impacting? Where are you going? What are you anticipating? For what are you grateful? We learned from Anil Gupta, gratitude, giving, and growing. Those are the 3 keys to happiness and meaning in your life. So in that ideal average day, what are you continually thankful for? What are you going to be thankful for every day? What are you going to be giving to? Or how are you going to be contributing every day? What is it that the things in your life that you're anticipating are working to grow? Because again, that ideal average day is still a day on the journey. We're all at different places, right? The purpose of that video was to highlight that. So, the question, and this is the last slide. So again, we're done. Except for I'm going to tell you my story. Do I have time?
You got it.
It's your meeting.
12:48.
Okay, so I got time. And I'm gonna admit to you right up front that I've never told this story before. And I'm also going to tell you up front that I may get emotional. Okay? So, but what I want to tell you before I tell you this story is, if you really want to go forward, take these slides, take these simple steps, and do the best job you can at writing down that ideal average day. And then come back to it, revisit it, refine it, take the vision challenge, and then take it again, and take it again. And become part of our vision challenge engagement group, which is a community, and it's free. The Business Growth Network Insiders gets you access to a lot of templates and things, some things that for $17 a month, which isn't free, it's not for profit because it's not free, but it's not for loss. So we cover the expenses of the systems and those kinds of things, which I've shared with you before, and that's what it costs right now. But my real desire for you, everybody here, everybody that I'm able to touch, is that you have as much clarity as you can possibly muster around that vision, that experience that you want to enjoy as you go forward. And when you have that clarity, I will also make the offer to the people on Facebook and whatever, then I'm ready to be the champion. I want to be a warrior for your vision. That's what being a vision warrior is about. That's what I have chosen, and that's my passion. That's what I want to do. Now let me tell you, 12 years ago I told you the story that 13 years ago that I woke up on a plane. I wasn't where I wanted to be, even though I had all of the trappings and the things in my shell identity, not my core, but my shell identity looked really good. Big house, big cars, lifestyle, first class travel, jet setting around the world, all these things, right? I woke up and I told you that story, and that's the zombie apocalypse that I realized that I was being animated, but not by my vision, my core, those things in my life that were most important to me. As it showed in that vision, you can start on that journey. And you can do things, and that's why I'm so adamant about having clarity on the vision, because you can start doing things, and I encourage you to start, but you can't lose sight of what it is you're really trying to do. And I started, and I thought, okay, being with my kids, being focused on that, house was good, everything looked good. This was coming up on 2008, and if anybody knows what happened in 2008, and I've kind of hinted at this with y'all before, some of you have one-on-ones with me, but in 2008, I was getting a little nervous about my situation in terms of its sustainability. I retired, but I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe I need to augment, maybe I need to do things. Plus, I was getting bored, and I had decided when I retired, by the way, the thing I said is, I don't want to spend the rest of my life just making money. I want to make a difference. Okay? So that was the vision. That was the level, probably. I didn't know what. I didn't know why. I prayed. I asked. I couldn't figure out what that looked like. And then in 2008, I was approached to take on the leadership of a school that my kids were going to, all at the backdrop of the economy going. And I said, walked away from what would have been a job that looked a lot like the one that I had left, and I realized I didn't want to go back to that path. So I was smart enough to know that that wasn't going to serve my vision. But I went on this path, and I lost track. I got into the mode of doing right. I was ministering. I was living a life that I thought I was supposed to live, that I thought was pleasing to my father, and I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do, and I was. But I wasn't. And I went through, and after about a year of going into this in the economy, I will bottom line it, I probably lost about $3 million. And I got up in the morning, some of you can relate. I had prepared a talk for my teachers the next day. And I said, for some reason I prepared this, and I was in the middle of a lot of problems financially and just at that point, that I talked about Job. And if you know the story about Job, he went through a lot of stuff. And at the end of a lot of stuff, after he weathered that storm and stayed true to his vision and his faith, he got double portions of what he had. I had prepared that talk. I woke up in the morning. I had moved from the big house, as we call it, to a smaller house. Went out, opened my door to go to the church to deliver their message, and my Cadillac was gone. And my daughter's Hummer was gone. They were both financed. So they were repossessed. Shortly, some amount of time after that, I wasn't even sure at that particular point in time, how do you go from retiring at 50 to now 4 or 5 years later, not even sure if you can feed your family or pay the rent. Okay, I was there. I basically at that point had a choice. My plane had crashed. I was laying there, and this is why when I first saw this video, I cried. Because my plane had crashed. My vision was still there. It just wasn't clear enough. And I was letting the circumstance or what I was doing suffice for my vision. And that's not enough. Whether you're singing songs, whether you're selling clothes, whether you're, relocating birds, or whatever you're doing, or fixing computer, I don't know what you're doing. That's not, all I can tell you is that's not enough. Even if they're paying you $1 million a year to do it, it's not enough. Okay? Today I can tell you that I am able to feed my family. I am not making $1 million a year. But I had the experience, one of the many experiences of having my ideal day as I was in Europe with my wife, communicating and sharing with my kids, hopefully inspiring some other people to do the same thing, and doing what I had now documented in my own as this is what my ideal average day looks like. Is it clear? It gets clearer every day. And that's what I want for you. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I want that for the people that are watching this on a video. I want that for you guys in this room. And that's why I'm here in this group and doing the Business Growth Network and everything else I'm doing. It's because I want, if nothing else, I can connect you with people that can help you do what you need to do. I can connect those dots. You've heard me say that before. But what I really can't give you is your core identity. And everybody I walk into this room and every person that comes in here new, it's easy to see their shell identity. I'm an insurance agent. I sell clothes. I work with computers. I do this. That's not your core. when you were watching that video, when you were listening to my story, anything that resonated, anything that made you tear up, anything that made you excited, anything that did, that's your core. And you've got to get back to really, really, really knowing what that is and making that a daily focus. Because life is a journey. That's all I got. Any questions? Look.
URL for the video.
I'll share it. I'll share it on the. It'll be
comments
on
of the video.
It'll be on the video. Yeah, actually, I have the video on my computer, but it's a YouTube video. I'll probably post the YouTube video just because Matus, he's somebody I subscribe to. He's got a lot of good videos, by the way.
What's his name?
M. Matus.
Like the wine.
No.
Matueaz or something like that. It's weird. I mean, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but he's the guy that sounds like a preacher talking in there.
The thin guy?
And he produces, huh?
The thin guy?
Yeah, he's does a lot. I subscribe to his YouTube channel. I highly recommended. But this one spoke to me. I watched this on my cruise. I said, "That's it. That's really," and that's where that's the gap. See, always be looking, like Mark, we talked in the beginning. Look at what you're doing and say, "Is that moving me to that ideal average day?" Same thing, we often talk in kind of platitudes and say, work in your business, don't work in your business, work on your business. We do all that stuff, right? But it really still all boils down to, am I progressing towards my ideal average day? And guess what? When you get to what you think it was, when you get on the cruise in the Mediterranean and you're back after your plane crash, and then you back to that place where, believe it or not, I had been on many, many cruises before, so that's not a new thing. I've been in Hawaii with all my family. I've taken my whole family to Alaska. I've done a lot of those kinds of things, but guess what? None of those, in retrospect, were me living my ideal. When I woke up in the morning was thinking about deals. What I woke up in the morning is worrying whether things were going to go south. What I woke up in the morning was with not enough sleep because the deal was going on. When I was in Hawaii, I was there for 2 weeks with a bunch of families, and I never even hardly remember. I remember trying to do surf lessons. That's about one of the few, and a luau. I think that was about the two major memories, and the rest of it was just a blur because I didn't get any sleep. I was working the deal while I was there with my family. So they had a great vacation. Anybody been there?
What?
Or been with where you've been, where you've had the experience, where the experience didn't match up what other people thought. You say, "Oh, that was pretty cool, right?" Yeah, it was for them. I wasn't feeling, smelling, experiencing, thinking about the things that I really wanted to.
I kind of have that when people tell me, when I tell people I'm from Jamaica, they go, and they light up and they do all the stuff, and I'm thinking to myself,
You live on the outskirts of Kingston, it's not that great.
Yeah.
I know, I've been there myself a few times. Anyway, so that's it. Hopefully that was helpful. It really, as you probably guessed, it really is embodied me and really has woke me up. And you say, well, you're doing the Vision Challenge and you're always, no, I mean, I'm working on me every day, and I'm trying to get clearer and clearer and clearer about what my ideal average day is, and I'm not there. So, anyway, any other thoughts, observations, questions? Next week, I'm sorry, go ahead, Amy.
Spell his name again.
I've got it. The link's actually on the video.
It's
in Business Growth.
MATEU.